Hi guys, welcome to Trinika Creates. Today I'm going to show you how I create these personalized football glasses using my Silhouette Cameo machine. But first, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a post. Okay, now let's get started. I'll start by searching for the first team logo that I want to design with, and that's going to be the 49ers. So I'm just going to do a Google search for their logo. And I'm going to click on images, and then I'm going to go over to the tools tab and click on usage rights, and I'm going to select labeled for reuse. I'm not going to worry about modification because I don't plan on selling these. I'm going to use them for my own personal use. And I see that Wikimedia has a Creative Commons image that I can use for the 49ers, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other teams that I'm going to search for. So the next one I'm going to search for is the Titans. And because I already changed those usage rights, you can see that it's still labeled for reuse. And I'm just going to click and drag that over to my desktop so that I can use this logo as well. Next, I'm going to search for the Green Bay Packers logo. And you guys, to be honest, I don't know anything about football. My son had to tell me which teams were going to be competing to try to go to the Super Bowl. So I got this information from him. And so what I'm going to do is, in anticipation, two of these teams are going to the Super Bowl, so I'm going to design with that in mind, and then whichever two happen to go, that's who will end up on the glasses. So then the last team that I'm searching for is the Kansas City Chiefs. They have two logos on here. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet, so I'm just going to click and drag both of these. They're both Wikimedia Creative Commons images that I can use, so I'm going to drag them both to the desktop, and I'll decide once I start designing. Now I'm going to search for some sporty looking fonts. I would like to use defont.com for this. They have free fonts. So I'm just going to search for sports and see what I get. So I'm going to use the Hard Sports font because that will be perfect for glass etching. Now that I have my font and my logo selected, I am going to draw some rectangle boxes to map out the parameter of my stencils. And I'm going to have 2 stencils per glass. On each glass there is an oval shape that's a smooth glass, and I'm going to etch on both sides of the glass. So on one side it'll be the team logo, on the other side I'm going to personalize it with names. So I'm going to use my name and my son's name. The top rectangle, which will have the logo, is 3 inches by 1 3/4 of an inch, and the bottom rectangle is 3 inches by 1 inch, and that will have the name inside of it. Once I have my 2 rectangles drawn out, I'm going to copy and paste them 3 more times, and the reason for that is because I do have 4 logos that I'm going to design. Since I don't know who's going to the Super Bowl yet, I'm going to design all 4, and then I'll apply the glass etching cream once it's decided. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste those rectangle boxes for that. I'm going to highlight these rectangles, and then I'm going to go over to the line style panel, and I'm going to adjust the thickness so that it's easier for you all to view. You don't have to do this when you're designing. It's just easier for you all to see while I'm recording this. Now I'm going to click and drag those logos from my desktop into the Silhouette design space, and you can use that gray area around your design mat. So I'm using that as a placeholder for these logos, and I'm going to begin tracing them. So starting with the 49ers logo, I'm going to click on the trace panel on the right, and I'm going to click on select trace area, and I'm going to click and drag my mouse across that logo, and that will trace the negative space around that image. Once I move that logo out of the way, you see the trace is there. I'm going to click on the traced design, and I'm going to fill it in with color. And this is helpful when you're glass etching because now you can see exactly where your etching cream is going to go. With the Kansas City logo, It does have that black border going around the K and the C, and you're gonna see like when I trace it, it almost merges the K and the C to the point where you can't tell that those are two letters. So what I'm gonna do is adjust the threshold on that trace so that it adjusts down and gets more of the shape of the letters. So now we can see more distinctly that there's a K and a C. And once I fill it in with color, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to go back to the color palette and fill in the KC with color. So now this allows me to see where the negative space is and where to apply the etching cream. Now that the logos are designed, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I design just regular text. I'm going to type my name in. I'm going to move this blue bar over so that I can adjust the size of my text box and give myself room to highlight my name. Then I'm going to go over to the right text panel and I'm going to look for that font that I downloaded from dafont.com. So when you do choose a font from dafont.com or some other site, you want to make sure you download all of your fonts first before you open up the Silhouette software, because you want to make sure that the software recognizes that new font that has been installed onto your computer. Now that I've adjusted my name and made sure that it fits inside of that rectangle, I'm just going to copy and paste it so that I can type the next name. I'm going to use the same font for both glasses. So I'm going to go ahead and type my son's name, Khalil. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these two extra rectangle boxes because I'm only doing two glasses, so I only need two names. I'm going to design all of the logos since I don't know which stencil I'm going to use yet on these glasses. Now that I've finished designing my stencils, I'm ready to send it to the machine for cutting. So now I'm weeding out the stencils, and as you can see, the vinyl, this is really old vinyl, so the vinyl is kind of getting stuck to itself, but I'm just going to take my time and use the hook tool that comes with my Silhouette machine to weed around those designs. With the Titans logo, I gave up on that middle part of the letters, and I just pretty much weeded the outline of the letters, and that works fine for me. I'm like I said, I'm not a football fan, so that's not a make or break deal for me. With the names, this was much easier to weed out. There were no fancy logos to work with, so weeding out our names was fairly easy. Now I'm trimming the excess from the stencils, and this will be helpful when I get ready to transfer my design to the glass, and you'll see what that looks like in a second. So what I have here is a piece of foam board, and I have that on my table so that the etching cream doesn't get on my desk. But I am going to have part of my desk exposed so that I can use this contact paper or contact tape to apply the stencil for transferring. The glass that I'm going to be using I got from the Dollar Tree, and this is a really great glass. If you see it, pick it up. It's perfect for glass etching. This is the Martha Stewart glass etching cream, and I buy this at Michael's. I think other craft stores sell the same brand maybe, but I only ever see it at Michael's. It does cost like $32 or something like that. So make sure that you use the coupons from Michael's before you purchase that. The etching cream comes with this soft bristle etching brush, and it allows you to easily apply the etching cream. Now that I'm ready to start with my first stencil, my son wants the 49ers logo on his glass. That's his favorite football team. He doesn't really care who's going to the Super Bowl. That's what he wants, so that's what I'm going to put on his glass. So what I'm going to do is peel back the backing off of my contact tape about an inch down, and I'm going to place my stencil down and then stick that exposed part of the contact tape down on my desk, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to apply that contact paper or the contact tape easily. I'm going to leave the stencil in place, and then I'm just going to smooth my finger over the edge, and then peel back that backing tape, and it'll automatically adhere to my stencil. So I see here that I have some overlap on my design, so I'm going to peel this up off of the desk and I'll show you what happened. Part of the vinyl overlapped with itself. So what I'm going to do is use my weeding hook for my Silhouette machine, and I'll fix that. Okay, you guys, you can see I finished fixing the stencil, and I'm going to get ready to place it on the glass. So I'm going to lay the glass down to kind of eyeball where I want it to go. It's kind of difficult because the contact tape is so big, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this to get an exact placement. And I'll just leave just a little bit around the edges so I can peel the transfer tape off later. But this will just make it easier for me to see exactly where I want it to go within that oval. So now that I have that trimmed, you see I turned it upside down. You can see that it'll be easier for me to place it now. So I'm going to first look for the center of my stencil, and I'm basing that off of the overlap where the S and the F is overlapped, and I want that to line up on the glass at the center of that oval, and I'm going to use that center thread line to determine where that is. So now I'm just going to start. I'm going to use my thumb to kind of bend the stencil into itself so that only the center touches the glass first. And I'm just going to rub my thumb up and down where the S and F overlap, and I have the ends kind of bowed out or up so that they don't touch the glass yet. And I'm going to smooth one side down and then repeat that on the other side, and that way I know the stencil at least goes on even. I'm still going to get air bubbles that I need to work out, but for me that's the best way to place my vinyl down on an unflat surface, or even sometimes on flat surfaces. That's my method. So you see I have some air bubbles I need to work out. I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of buff those air bubbles out. You don't want air bubbles when you're glass etching, because if the etching cream gets under your vinyl, that will cause your design to bleed. Now I'm going to peel back that contact tape, and you see it's peeling off easily. What I did is laid the contact paper flat on the glass so that when I peeled it up, none of the vinyl popped back up. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but you can find this contact tape at the Dollar Tree. It's in the shelf liner section, and it's a really good quality. It's the Contact brand, so it really is good for vinyl because it peels off easily, and you can use it over and over within the same design. If you keep the backing, you can use that contact paper on several projects before it loses its tact. I'm going to continue to work out those air bubbles that were there before I put on the etching cream. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, and I'm going to apply my son's name on this glass because he wants the San Francisco 49ers glass. So I'm going to apply the vinyl this to the glass, and I'm looking for that center line again. And I'm going to start from the middle and work my way out to apply it. Now that the vinyl has been placed on the glass, I'm going to begin applying the glass etching cream. And you guys, I'm applying a thick coat of this etching cream. I do not want there to be inconsistencies in the darkness of the glass etched or the frosted effect. So I'm making sure I apply even thick layer of etching cream, and I'm just gonna let this sit. Now I let this sit for way longer than the instructions say. I believe the instructions say to allow it to sit for 15 minutes. I allowed it to sit for maybe an hour. Now I'm going to repeat those steps on the second glass and show you what that looks like. This is what it looks like once I've applied the etching cream to the glasses, and now they're ready for rinsing. Thank you all for watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you decide to make this project, please share it with me.